of our subject, syllabus, and marking scheme. Then we shall start with our first chapter. So let's start. So now, first question is, what is science? Can you define science? What is science? What do you mean by science, by your point of view? So, science is a systematic and logical approach to check the facts or phenomena and phenomena and discovering how things in the universe work. Okay, so what is science? Science is a systematic and logical approach to check the facts, phenomena, and discovering how things in the universe work. Then science is science is further divided into three main branches. First is physical science, which is called as physics. Then chemical science, which is called as chemistry. Then third one, life science, which is called as biology. So these three main branches collectively forms a science. Okay, so all these three branches are the main branches of science. All these branches collectively form the science stream. So every branch is equally important and has separate area of work. But among these three branches, physical science means physics has always got special treatment just because of its application. In each and everything in the universe, there is physics. So when objects are in motion, there is physics. When you are using electrical appliances or electronic devices like TV, mobile, fan, computer, there is physics. Even when sun arises and go, there is also physics. Means in simple words, we can say that physics is a branch of science which helps us to understand the nature and natural phenomena and to get answers of all the questions like why this is happening and how. Then physics has further divided into some sub branches. Okay? So these are some sub branches. So classical mechanics, astrophysics and cosmology, optics, mathematical physics, chemical physics, particle physics, then electrodynamics, acoustics, nuclear physics, electronics, electrostatics, medical physics. So these are sub branches of physics. So every sub branch of the physics has the basic law. Means if we are talking about mechanics, the mechanics, what do you mean by mechanics? Mechanics is the branch of science or branch of physics which deals with the motion and aspects of motion. So there is basic law of mechanics which is called as Newton's law of motion. So there are three laws of motion. So first law is object will maintain its state of rest or continuous motion unless and until external forces apply. So this is the first law of Newton's law of motion. Then second law is change in momentum per unit time is directly proportional to the force applied. So this is second Newton's law of motion. Then third, every action has equal and opposite reaction. So mechanics sub branch of physics is based on the this Newton's law of motion, laws of motion. Then there is another branch of physics which is called as electrostatics. So the basic law of electrostatics upon which this sub branch is based is Coulomb's law of force. So every sub branch of physics is based on some basic laws. Okay, then again, physics is the one who has given birth to branches like IT and CS. So he is who is the father of information technology and computer science. So physics is the father of information technology and CS. Now, I would like to make one statement that physics is handicapped without maths. Do you agree with this statement or not? So, why I made this statement? So now listen why I made this statement. Physics is handicapped without maths. So qualitative description of any phenomenon can be done without maths. But when question comes of quantitative description of it, then we require maths. Okay, so without maths, physics is handicapped. Now take one example. If you asked me what is velocity, or if you ask the definition of velocity, I would say it is change in position per unit time or displacement of an object per unit time. Okay, so this is definition for the velocity. But if you ask, car is moving with the constant velocity of 30 kilometer per hour, then what distance it will cover in 15 minutes? Okay, so give answer of this to give this answer of this question, I will definitely need help from the maths. So for quantitative description of any phenomenon, we require maths. So because of that, I made statement physics is handicapped without maths. Now, my second question is, physics is hard or easy? According to you, physics is hard or easy? Means how many of you think that physics is hard? So guys, never say that physics is hard. Nothing is hard if your basics of your concerned subject are clear. Few students might find chemistry hard, or few might say maths is hard. So this is my advice to you guys. Don't give tag to any subject. If you are finding physics hard or chemistry hard or maths, give 1 hour extra to that subject. So this is just a beginning. You have time. So brush up your knowledge and start again. You will definitely get a success. So no subject is hard. If your basics are clear, then physics is also easy. So all subjects of science, if you have chosen science stream, so all the subjects are easy if your basics are clear. So you have to brush up your knowledge first, and don't say that physics is hard. Neither physics is hard nor maths. So discussion of science and physics will never end, but our lecture is going to be end. So let's move to our syllabus of this academic year. So there are 14 chapters in total, which we are going to study during this academic year. And these chapters are divided into 6 units. In first unit, there are 2 chapters. Then in second unit, there are 3 chapters. In third unit, 2 chapters. Fourth unit, 2 chapters. And in fifth unit, there are 3 chapters, and in last unit there are 2 chapters. So first we will talk about the unit 1, what we are going to study in unit 1. So under this unit we are going to focus on units of quantities, errors, types of physical quantities, and mathematical tools. Then unit 2. In unit 2, there are 3 chapters: motion in plane, laws of motion, then third one is gravitation. So this unit is based upon mechanics and gravity. As I already told you, mechanics is the branch of physics which deals with the motion and aspects of motion. So in this unit, we are going to study few laws of motion and its properties. Then we will study gravitation, laws of gravity. Okay, so in third unit, we shall study the mechanical and thermal properties of matter, like elasticity, friction, thermal expansion, etc. Okay, so these are among this, elasticity and friction are the mechanical properties of matter. Then thermal expansion is thermal property. So there are 2 chapters in this unit: mechanical properties of solids, then thermal properties of solids. Now, fourth unit. This unit will give us the information about the properties of sound and optical phenomena of light. So we shall study types of waves, Doppler effect, reflection, refraction, dispersion under this unit. So this is one of the favorite unit of mine. Okay, so now move to fifth chapter, fifth unit. So in fifth unit there are 3 chapters. Few topics of these chapters you might have already studied in your previous standards, in standard 9 and in standard 10. So electrostatics, then electric current through conductors, and then magnetism. So as I told you, electrostatics is branch of physics. And what is the basic law of electrostatics? So electrostatic branch is based on the Coulomb's law of force. Okay, so under this fifth unit is based on electricity and magnetism. Hence, the relationship between electricity and magnetism we are going to study here. Now, move to last unit of our academic year, unit 6. So this unit will focus on communication system, semiconductors. We know that conductor is substance which conducts an electricity, and insulator doesn't conduct an electricity. But there are some substances whose conductivity can be controlled as per our requirement, which are called as semiconductor. So conductivity of semiconductor can be controlled as per our requirement. So conductivity of semiconductor is present between the conductor and the insulator. Okay, so we are going to study few applications of those substances under this unit. Means types of semiconductors, then substances which are used as semiconductor, then other uses of semiconductor under this unit. Now, so till now we have seen the syllabus of our academic year, syllabus of physics for this academic year. But due to this pandemic, few topics from this syllabus are reduced. Means questions on these topics are not going to be asked in the exam. Okay, so you have to go through this. So first see which topics are removed or reduced from our syllabus. So see, these topics are reduced from our syllabus. So from chapter 1, here page number and article number both are given. So from chapter 1, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.7 and 1.8.2. All these topics are reduced from our syllabus. Means questions on the combinations of errors or accuracy, precision and uncertainty in measurement. So questions based on these topics are not going to be asked in the exam. And remember one thing, this reduced syllabus will apply for this academic year 2020 and 21 only. Okay, so these topics are reduced for this academic year only. Next year these topics are not going to be reduced. These topics will be for the exam. So you can take screenshot of the screen, or I will provide this PDF letter. So you have to tick in your textbook which topics are reduced. Okay, so this is first slide, then this is second slide, this is third slide. So on these three slides, topics which are reduced from a syllabus are given. Okay, so questions based on these topics are not going to be asked in the exam. Now move to evaluation pattern. Okay, so how we are going to get marks in our final mark sheet of our 11th class. Okay, in FYJC, the mark sheet which you get at the end of our academic year, how you will get marks. Okay, so this is evaluation pattern for this academic year, this FYJC year. So in total there will be 4 exams, 4 written exams. So first unit test will be of 25 marks. Then there will be first term exam which will be of 50 marks. Then second unit test of 25 marks and annual exam of 100 marks. But in this 100 marks, 70 marks will be written exam and 30 marks will be for the practical exam. So this practical exam will be based on all the practicals which are performed by us in the lab. Okay, so how your final marks are going to be evaluated. So whatever marks you have got in first unit, first term exam, second unit test and annual exam, all these marks are going to be added, and whatever marks you have got in total, those marks are going to be divided by 2 and it will be converted into out of 100. So out of 100 you will get total average. So all the exams which are going to be taken in this academic year are equally important. So you cannot say that first unit test is less important, then first term is important, and unit test, you cannot say that unit tests are less important or it is they are not important. So all the exams which are going to be conducted in this academic year are equally important, because your final marks are going to be evaluated by using the all the marks which you have got in all the exams. Means first unit test, first term exam, second unit test and annual exam. So all the exams are equally important. So we have discussed our syllabus of this academic year. Then again we have discussed the reduced syllabus of this academic year, which topics are reduced from our syllabus we have seen. Then what is evaluation pattern for this academic year means, in the final mark sheet how you are going to get marks, means what will be your final marks in the mark sheet. So this we have discussed. Now we will start with our chapter 1. Okay, so chapter 1 from our syllabus. So first chapter of our syllabus is units and measurements. Okay, so this chapter is based on the measurement. Okay, so this is first chapter and this is our first lecture of this chapter. So what is measurement? So measurement plays an important role in our everyday life. Without being aware of it, we are often concerned with the measurement of various physical quantities such as mass, time, length, area, volume, temperature, etc. If you enter a shop and ask for a kilogram of sugar, you are not satisfied if the shopkeeper just pours some quantity of sugar in a bag and hands it over to you. You insist upon the measurement of its weight because only then you can be sure that you have got the correct quantity. Measurement is important in all fields such as commerce, industry, engineering, medicine, agriculture, communication, etc. Means, in simple words, we can say that measurements plays an important role in our everyday life. Now, we often use adjectives such as high, low, big, small, hot, cold during our conversation. However, these objectives fail to convey precise information. These objectives will not give precise information about the quantity. Okay, so however, these uh, objectives fails to convey precise information. For example, if you say that you had to wait for long time to catch a train, so here you are not giving a vague idea of a time. You are giving a vague idea of time. You are not giving exact or clear idea. Okay, so but if you say that you had to wait for 2 hours, you are giving information more clearly. So whoever will be listener, he can understand clearly what time you have to wait to catch the train. Okay, so measurement thus enables us to convey information in a manner in which it can be clearly understood. Okay, so now when we are talking about measurements, the main term which we are going to study is unit. Have you heard about unit? Have you ever heard about unit? In everyday life we use units while talking. Okay, so when we talk about the electricity bill, okay, so at that time we talk about units. So units plays an important role in the measurements. So what are units? So the measurement of physical quantity involves the comparison of that quantity with some accepted standard. For example, when we say that mass of an object is 10 kilogram, we are stating that 1 kilogram is the standard unit used for measurement of mass, and that is that the given mass is 10 times as large as the mass of 1 kilogram. So 1 kilogram is unit of mass. Okay, I hope you have understood. So the standard used for measurement of physical quantity is called unit of that quantity. So take this example. If you are having 4 kg sugar, okay, if I divided this sugar into 4, then 1 kg will be unit of mass or unit of mass of the sugar. Okay, so thus in the above example, kilogram is the unit of mass, and the number 4 gives the relation between the given mass and its unit. So here 4 is giving the relationship between the mass and the unit. What is mass? Mass is 4 times the unit. Means unit of mass is 1 kilogram, and what mass of sugar we are having? So 4 kilogram. Okay, so in this way, any measurement is expressed in terms of units, or it can be expressed in terms of number and the units. Okay, so few requirements of good unit are there. Means which unit is good to use. So there are 4 requirements. So first requirement is the unit should be invariable. What do you mean by invariable? Invariable means the value or quantity of the amount of or magnitude must not change by the place and time. Means if we are measuring sugar in Mumbai, it is 4 kg. If you are measuring the same amount of sugar in Delhi, so so unit should be invariable. Means it the magnitude must not change with time and place. Okay, so then second requirement for the good unit is it should be easily reproducible. Okay, so what do you mean by reproducible? So it should be easy to copy the unit so that it always readily available. Okay, so unit should be reproducible. Then the most important requirement of the unit is it should be universally accepted. Means the unit which we are using in India or in US, in all the countries this unit system will be should be accepted. So otherwise what will happen? It will be hard to convey the information from one country to another country. So it should be universally accepted. And last but not the least, the unit should be easily available. Okay, so these are some requirements of the good unit. Okay, so now we have discussed about the units. So now we will move to system of units. So till now, 4 system of units we have studied. In our previous standards in class 10 and class 9, we have studied CGS system, MKS system, then FPS system. Okay, so we have already studied these systems. So first, CGS system. So this system is based upon 3 fundamental units. So first is centimeter, gram, and then second. So this system, all the systems, CGS system or MK system or FPS system, based on the 3 fundamental units. So CGS system based upon centimeter, gram, and seconds. As the in this system, centimeter is unit of length, gram is unit of mass, and second is unit of time. Okay, so in among all the systems, first unit will be unit of length, then second unit will be unit of mass, and third unit will be unit of time. So now move to next, MKS system. So what is MKS system? Definitely you can answer now. M stands for meter, K stands for kilogram, and second starts S stands for second. Right. So this system is also called as metric system. Okay. So in this system also, first unit is unit of length, second unit is unit of mass, and third unit is unit of time. Okay. So this system means MK system was used in France and some other countries in Europe and their colonies. The CGS system is also a metric system in which the units are smaller than corresponding units in MCAS system. So there is relationship between the MCAS system and CGS system. You can observe in MCAS system we use unit meter, and in CGS system we use unit centimeter. So centimeter is smaller than meter, then gram is smaller than kilogram. And second will remain same in both the system. Now third system, FPS system. So in this system is also called as British system. Okay, so this system was used in Great Britain and all the countries under the British rule. So that's why it is called as British system. Okay, so FPS stands for foot, pound, and second. F stands for foot, P stands for pound, and S stands for second. So this is third system of unit. Now, the most important, SI system. So what do you mean by SI system? So full form of SI system is International System of Unit. Okay, so we can say that what is SI system? SI system is modified version of MKS system. Why? Because if you observe, you will find that many of the units are similar in the SI system and MKS system. Okay, so that's why MKS system is modified version of the SI system is modified version of the MKS system. Okay, so the now we will discuss about the SI system in brief. So as I told you, SI system is International System of Unit. It is universally accepted system of unit. Okay, so International Standard Organization. This is the organization which had accepted this unit system of unit. Okay, so this system means SI system of unit was proposed in 1960 by the General Conference of Weight and Measures and was accepted in 1962, means after the 2 years of its proposal, by the International Standard Organization. So this was accepted by the International Standard Organization. So that's why this unit system is internationally used. All over the world, this system is used. So whenever you are going to solve the numericals in the exam, it is expected that your answer should be in SI system. If it is mentioned that we want answer in CGS system or any other system, you will definitely going to solve it in that system. But if it is not specified, then you are supposed to calculate the answer in SI system. So whenever you will solve the numericals, you have to first translate or convert all the quantities in the SI system if it is not given. Okay. So before the introduction of SI system, exchange of information between scientists of different countries was proving difficult because of difference between the systems of unit used by them. In one country there was another system of unit, and then in another country there was different system of unit. So that's why it was difficult to convey the information from one country to another country. So there was lack of exchange of information between the scientists. Okay, so with this international agreement on use of SI system, this difficulty is removed. So as the scientists all over the world are now using common language of units, means SI system, and their symbols, scientific discussion, criticism, and exchange of ideas have become easier. The results obtained in one laboratory can now be easily compared with those obtained in another laboratory situated anywhere in the world. Why? Because of this internationally accepted system of unit. Formerly, there used to be a communication gap between scientists, engineers, and technologists because they were using different systems of unit. This difficulty is also removed by adoption of the SI system in all disciplines. In short, the SI system has bridged a gulf between scientists, engineers, and technologists all over the world and has ensured a rapid growth in our knowledge. Okay, so this was how SI system was used internationally. So currently, SI system is internationally accepted system of unit. So we are going to study the SI system in this chapter. We are going to focus on the SI system in this chapter. Now, we will discuss types of quantities and units. So there are two basic types of quantities and units. So first we will distinguish between the types of quantities. So there are two basic types of quantities. First is fundamental quantity and then second is derived quantity. So first question is, what is fundamental quantity? So the physical quantities which do not depend on another physical quantities for their measurements are known as fundamental quantities. Okay, so these quantities are called as fundamental quantities. And what are derived quantities? So the physical quantities which depend on some or all the seven fundamental quantities and can be expressed in terms of these quantities are known as derived quantities. Okay, so in fundamental unit, so what are fundamental units? So units corresponding to fundamental quantities are called as fundamental units, and corresponding units of derived quantities are called as derived units. So when we talk about fundamental units, there are seven fundamental units, or there are seven fundamental quantities. So in that, these are seven fundamental quantities. So first fundamental quantity is length, second is mass, third is time, fourth is temperature, fifth is electric current, then sixth one is luminous intensity, and seventh is amount of substance. So these are fundamental quantities. So these fundamental quantities do not depend upon any other quantities for their measurements. Okay, so that's why it is called as, these quantities are called as fundamental quantities, and corresponding units of the fundamental quantities are called as fundamental units. So in SI system, unit of length is meter, unit of mass is kilogram. So that's why meter and kilogram are fundamental units. Okay, so there are fundamental quantities, seven fundamental quantities. So you have to remember this fundamental quantities. Apart from these fundamental quantities and two are supplementary quantities, all the quantities are derived quantities because they depends upon this fundamental quantities. So derived quantities are depending upon the fundamental quantities. Now we will discuss about derived quantities. You can see here meter, kilogram, second, Kelvin, ampere, candela, and mole. These are fundamental units. Meter is unit of length, kilogram is unit of mass, second is unit of time, Kelvin is unit of temperature, ampere is unit of electric current, candela is unit of luminous intensity, means light, then mole is unit of amount of substance. So these are seven fundamental units. Okay, so then when we will talk about the, whenever we will talk about the derived quantities, So those derived quantities will depend upon this seven fundamental quantities. Okay, so let's check. Now consider velocity. Okay, so by definition of velocity, what is definition of velocity? Velocity is displacement per unit time. Okay, so formula for the velocity is displacement per time. So displacement is nothing but the unit physical quantity length. Displacement is nothing but the length, and time is measured in second. Okay, so that's why unit of velocity will be meter by second. So you can see here velocity depends upon the displacement and time, which are fundamental quantities. Means displacement and time are fundamental quantities, and velocity depends upon this quantity, these two quantities for the description or the measurement. So that's why velocity is a derived quantity, or derived unit of velocity is meter by second. So meter by second is derived unit. Now take second example, acceleration. So what is formula for the acceleration? So by formula, acceleration is change in velocity per unit time. So acceleration depends upon the velocity for the measurement. If we have the value of change in velocity, then we can calculate the acceleration. Okay, but how we will get the value of velocity? So for to get velocity, we require the value of displacement. Okay, means length. So velocity depends upon the length. So that's why acceleration will depend upon length and time. So both the velocity and the acceleration depend upon the length or displacement and time for the measurement. So that's why velocity and acceleration both are derived quantities, and their respective units are derived units. Means meter by second is derived unit. Again, meter by second square is also derived unit. Now take third example, density. So by formula, what is density? Density is ratio of mass to the volume. Okay, so density will depend upon the mass, which is fundamental quantity. As we have seen earlier, mass is fundamental quantity, and volume is fundamental quantity or derived quantity. So definitely volume is derived quantity, because volume depends upon the length. Means if we are calculating the volume of the cube, okay, then we will take cube of the length. So that's why the volume depends upon the length. Okay, so okay, so density is the derived quantity, because density depends upon the mass and volume. But what is formula for the volume? वॉल्यूम का फॉर्मूला क्या है? सो वॉल्यूम का फॉर्मूला क्या है? सो लेंथ का जब आप क्यूब निकालोगे, आपको अगर क्यूब का वॉल्यूम निकालना है तो आप लेंथ का क्यूब निकालोगे, तब आपको मिलेगा वॉल्यूम. ओके, सो क्यूब का मास और क्यूब का वॉल्यूम दोनों का जब आप रेशो निकालोगे तब आपको मिलेगा डेंसिटी, डेंसिटी ऑफ क्यूब. ओके, सो इसलिए जो डेंसिटी है, इट इज आल्सो डिराइव्ड क्वांटिटी, and respective unit of density means kilogram by meter cube is derived unit. ओके, सो किलोग्राम बाय मीटर क्यूब जो क्यूबिक मीटर जो है वो क्या है? डिराइव्ड यूनिट है. ओके, सो all these quantities means velocity, acceleration and density, all these quantities are derived quantities and respective units are derived units. So अब तक अब हमने क्या देखा? So फंडामेंटल क्वांटिटीज हमने स्टडी किए, देन डिराइव्ड क्वांटिटीज स्टडी किए, फंडामेंटल यूनिट्स क्या है वो देखे, देन फंडामेंटल यूनिट्स क्या है देखे. सो फंडामेंटल यूनिट्स मीन्स व्हाट? बेसिक यूनिट्स. ओके, सो जिसके डिस्क्रिप्शन के लिए और मेजरमेंट के लिए किसी और क्वांटिटी की जरूरत नहीं है. ओके, सो दोस ऑल दोज यूनिट्स आर कंसिडर्ड एज फंडामेंटल यूनिट्स. एंड व्हाट आर डिराइव्ड यूनिट्स? सो डिराइव्ड यूनिट्स ऐसे यूनिट्स है जिनके डिस्क्रिप्शन के लिए या फिर जिनके मेजरमेंट्स के लिए हमें फंडामेंटल क्वांटिटीज के मेजरमेंट्स जरूरी होते हैं. ओके, सो दिस आर डिराइव्ड यूनिट्स. Now let's move to third type of units. So till now we have discussed two types of units, जिसमें से पहला था फंडामेंटल यूनिट और दूसरा था डिराइव्ड यूनिट. अभी दो ऐसे यूनिट्स हैं जिनको हम सप्लीमेंट्री यूनिट्स ऐसे हम कंसिडर करते हैं, जो फंडामेंटल और डिराइव्ड से थोड़े अलग है. सो सप्लीमेंट्री यूनिट्स हैं प्लेन एंगल एंड सॉलिड एंगल. So what is plane angle? So as we have studied in our previous standard, means in 9th standard and 10th standard. So last year हमने स्टडी किया है, फॉर्मूला हमने स्टडी किया था 10th के मैथ्स के टेक्स्ट बुक में. आपने S इज इक्वल टू आर थीटा ये फॉर्मूला स्टडी किया होगा, जिसमें S जो था वो क्या था? लेंथ ऑफ आर्क. देन R क्या था? रेडियस ऑफ सर्कल और रेडियस ऑफ कर्वेचर. देन थीटा क्या था? सो एंगल था. ओके, सो एस इज इक्वल टू आर थीटा. सो इस केस में थीटा हमें क्या मिलेगा? एस डिवाइड बाय आर. सो वो जो थीटा रहेगा वो क्या होगा? प्लेन एंगल. जब हम सर्कल की बात कर रहे हैं तब जो एंगल बनेगा वो क्या होगा? प्लेन एंगल. हम एग्जांपल किसका ले रहे हैं? सर्कल का. उसी टाइम पे सॉलिड एंगल क्या रहेगा? सो अभी प्लेन एंगल के लिए हमने एग्जांपल कंसिडर किया था सर्कल का. अभी सॉलिड एंगल के लिए आपको एग्जांपल कंसिडर करना है स्पेयर का. स्पेयर मतलब क्या है? स्पेयर इज नथिंग बट द 3 डायमेंशनल एनालॉजी ऑफ सर्कल. सर्कल को आप जब 3 डायमेंशन में आप कंसिडर करोगे या फिर इमेजिन करोगे, ओके, दैट विल बी स्पेयर. जैसे कि क्यूब को, सॉरी स्क्वायर को जब आप 3 डायमेंशन में आप इमेजिन करोगे तब आपको उसका 3 डायमेंशनल एनालॉजी आपको कैसे दिखेगा? कैसे दिखेगा वो? सो क्यूब दिखेगा. सो क्यूब इज नथिंग बट द 3 डायमेंशनल एनालॉजी ऑफ स्क्वायर एंड स्क्वायर इज 3 डायमेंशनल एनालॉजी ऑफ सर्कल. सो जब हम प्लेन एंगल की बात कर रहे हैं तब हम एग्जांपल ले रहे हैं सर्कल का, और जब हम सॉलिड एंगल की बात करें तब हम एग्जांपल ले रहे हैं स्पेयर का. ओके, सो नाउ वी कैन डिफाइन द प्लेन एंगल एंड सॉलिड एंगल. सो प्लेन एंगल क्या है? सो प्लेन एंगल इज द रेशियो ऑफ लेंथ ऑफ आर्क ऑफ अ सर्कल टू द रेडियस ऑफ सर्कल. ओके, सो बाय फॉर्मूला वी कैन राइट डी थीटा बाय डी एस बाय आर. सो डायग्राम में आप देख सकते हो फिगर में, डी थीटा क्या है? एंगल. डी एस क्या है? डी एस जो है वो आपका आर्क लेंथ है और आर है. अभी यहाँ पे डी थीटा और डी एस क्यों लिया है? सो यहाँ पे हमने पूरा सर्कल कंसिडर नहीं किया है. एक सर्कल का जो भी सरकमफेरेंस होगा उस सरकमफेरेंस का हमने छोटा सा पार्ट कंसिडर किया है. ओके, जब हम पूरा सर्कल जब कंसिडर करेंगे तब हम वहां पे एस यूज करेंगे और डी थीटा की जगह पे थीटा यूज करेंगे. अभी फिलहाल हम क्या कर रहे हैं? पूरी सर्कल का जो सरकमफेरेंस होगा उसका हम छोटा सा पार्ट है वो कंसिडर कर रहे हैं. सो दैट्स व्हाई हियर वी हैव यूज्ड ds फॉर आर्क लेंथ एंड d थीटा फॉर द एंगल. ओके, सो दैट्स व्हाई d थीटा इज इक्वल टू ds बाय r. अभी एंगल का, ये प्लेन एंगल का यूनिट क्या होगा? सो यूनिट ऑफ प्लेन एंगल विल बी रेडियन. रेडियन इज द SI unit of plane angle. Okay, so by definition, plane angle is ratio of arc length to the radius. Okay, now what is solid angle? अभी solid angle हमने देख लिया, सर्कल जब कंसिडर करते हैं तब प्लेन एंगल हम फाइंड आउट करते हैं, जब हम 3 डायमेंशन में हम कंसिडर करेंगे तब हमको स्पेयर दिखेगा। स्पेयर के केस में जो हम एंगल निकालते हैं सॉलिड एंगल, वो होता है सॉलिड एंगल। तो सॉलिड एंगल का डेफिनेशन क्या है, कैसे हम कैलकुलेट करेंगे? सो द रेशियो ऑफ एरिया ऑफ द पोर्शन ऑफ सरफेस of the sphere to the square of radius of the sphere will be solid angle, and unit of solid angle will be steradian. Okay, so यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं स्पेयर का हमने एक छोटा सा पोर्शन कंसिडर किया है जिसका एरिया जो है वो डी ए है। अभी यहाँ पे भी हमने एरिया के लिए ए यूज नहीं किया, डी ए यूज किया है। क्यों? क्योंकि हम यहाँ पे छोटा सा पोर्शन कंसिडर कर रहे हैं, पूरा जो स्पेयर है उसका एरिया नहीं दिख रहा है, यहाँ पे हम नहीं कंसिडर कर रहे हैं। सो दैट्स व्हाई, सो यहाँ पे हम छोटा सा पोर्शन कंसिडर कर रहे हैं स्पेयर का। सो यहाँ पे हमने क्या यूज किया है, डी ए। जब हम पूरा स्पेयर का एरिया कंसिडर करेंगे तब हम क्या करेंगे, ए, सिंपली हम ए कंसिडर करेंगे। अभी यहाँ पे नोटेशन के लिए जो प्लेन एंगल होता है उसके लिए हम क्या यूज कर रहे हैं, थीटा यूज कर रहे हैं। और सॉलिड एंगल के लिए हम क्या कंसिडर यूज करेंगे, सो ओमेगा। ओमेगा हम सॉलिड एंगल के डिनोटेशन नोटेशन के लिए हम यूज करते हैं। ओके, सो व्हाट विल बी द सॉलिड एंगल? सॉलिड एंगल विल बी रेशियो ऑफ एरिया ऑफ अ पोर्शन ऑफ सरफेस ऑफ स्पेयर। स्पेयर का जो भी छोटा सा पोर्शन हम कंसिडर कर रहे हैं वो एरिया, और जो रेडियस है स्पेयर का सेंटर से लेकर वो सरफेस तक, सो वो जो रेशियो है वो होगा सॉलिड एंगल, बिकॉज दैट इज कॉल्ड एज सॉलिड एंगल। आई होप यू आर क्लियर। इफ यू आर हैविंग, because so these are supplementary units, so plane angle and solid angle. अभी हमने क्या किया, अभी हमने कंसिडर का एक छोटा सा आर्क सर्कमफरेंस का एक छोटा सा पोर्शन कंसिडर किया और प्लेन एंगल कैलकुलेट किया। मतलब प्लेन एंगल के लिए हमने फॉर्मूला फाइंड आउट किया, विच इज डी थीटा इज इक्वल टू डी एस बाय आर। और सॉलिड एंगल के केस में हमने स्क्वायर कंसिडर करके सॉलिड एंगल के लिए हमने फॉर्मूला फाइंड आउट किया, डी ओमेगा डी इज इक्वल टू डी ए बाय आर स्क्वायर। सो अभी हमको क्या करना है, अभी तक हमने एक छोटा सा पोर्शन कंसिडर किया था, अभी हमको होल सर्कल कंसिडर करना है और होल स्क्वायर कंसिडर करना है। जब हम छोटा सा पोर्शन कंसिडर करेंगे, आर्क का जो भी थोड़ा सा सेगमेंट कंसिडर करेंगे, तब हम ये फॉर्मूला यूज करेंगे। और अभी क्या कंसिडर करो, अभी पूरा सर्कल कंसिडर करो। ओके, जब हम पूरे सर्कल का आर्क लेंथ हम फाइंड आउट करेंगे। ओके, सो आर्क लेंथ कितना मिलेगा, सो आर्क लेंथ विल बी सर्कमफरेंस ऑफ सर्कल। ओके, सो सर्कल के सर्कमफरेंस का फॉर्मूला क्या है, 2 पाई आर। ओके, सो 2 पाई आर इज द फॉर्मूला फॉर द circumference of circle. So arc length divided by radius of circle. So 2 pi r divided by r. R means r in the denominator and r in the numerator. Both will get cancelled. Okay, so both will cancel each other. So what will be remaining? So we will get omega is equal to 2 pi, which is in radian. Okay, so 2 pi radian is the plane angle of the complete circle. So note one thing here, by mistake here in case of plane angle, omega is type 1. Okay, so make a correction, that is not omega, it is theta. Okay, theta will be used for plane angle and omega will be used for solid angle. So make this correction. In case of plane angle, there is theta. Okay, so now consider case of solid angle. So when we talk about the solid angle, we consider example of sphere. Okay, so जब हम पूरा स्पेयर कंसिडर करेंगे तो पूरे स्पेयर, अभी तक हमने क्या किया था, छोटा सा पोर्शन कंसिडर किया, तो हमको सॉलिड एंगल का फॉर्मूला मिला डी ओमेगा इज इक्वल टू डी a डिवाइड बाय आर स्क्वायर। अभी हम क्या कर रहे हैं, पूरा जो स्क्वायर है वो कंसिडर कर रहे हैं। तो जब हम पूरा स्क्वायर कंसिडर कर रहे हैं, तो पूरे स्क्वायर का जो बाहर का जो सरफेस होगा, सरफेस का फॉर्मूला क्या है, तो सरफेस का फॉर्मूला है 4 पाई आर स्क्वायर। ओके, सो 4 पाई आर स्क्वायर इज द formula for the surface of the sphere. Okay, so by formula of solid angle we will write 4 pi r square divided by r square. So r square will get cancelled. So what we will get, omega is equal to 4 pi steradian. Okay, so it will be unit of solid angle. So plane angle subtended by the entire circle at its center will be 2 pi radian, and the solid angle subtended by entire sphere at its center will be 4 pi steradian. So in your exam, question might be asked on this. So MCQs can be asked like dash dash dash, it will be the plane angle subtended by the entire circle at its center. So options will be given or not given. So you can directly write 2 pi radian. Okay, so this is the value of plane angle subtended by the entire circle at its center. Now, so till now we have discussed fundamental quantities, then derived quantities, and supplementary quantities. And also we have discussed respective or corresponding units, hence fundamental units, derived units, and supplementary units. So now we are supposed to study the conventions for the use of SI units. So as I told you, in our daily life, we use SI units. So while using SI units, we are supposed to use some conventions. We are supposed to follow some convention. Hence, if we are writing the complete name of unit, how to write the complete name of unit? Then, if we are using symbol for the unit, so there are some conventions for the use of SI units. So these conventions have to be followed by us or any scientist or physicist or chemist, because this unit system is not going to be used in physics only. It is going to be used in every branch of science, means in your physics, chemistry, math, IT, computer science. So this unit system is used all over the world, and conventions are supposed to be followed by us. Okay, so there are few conventions for the use of SI units. कन्वेंशन मतलब क्या है? कन्वेंशन मतलब होता क्या है? सो कुछ रूल्स होते हैं यूनिट लिखने के। सो यूनिट का जब हम कंप्लीट नाम लिख रहे हैं तो उसको हमको कैसे लिखना है, अगर हम सिंबल लिख रहे हैं तो उसको कैसे लिखना है, कैपिटल में लिखना है, स्मॉल लिखना है, डॉट देना है, कॉमा देना है, क्या करना है, कैसे लिखना है, तो उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं, कन्वेंशन। कन्वेंशन फॉर द यूज ऑफ SI यूनिट्स. So first convention is unit of every physical quantity should be represented by its symbol. अभी इसमें क्या है, देखो, जब हम कोई भी क्वांटिटीज का मेजरमेंट हम लिखते हैं तो हर टाइम तो हम पूरा नाम नहीं लिख सकते. जैसे कि जब हम मास की बात कर रहे हैं, जब मैं मास लिखने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ तब मैं हर टाइम 4 किलोग्राम, किलोग्राम का स्पेलिंग कंप्लीट लिख के मैं तो नहीं लिखूंगा. जैसे कि वेलोसिटी हुआ या फिर लेंथ हुआ, उसके लिए मैं 4 मीटर, ऐसे हर टाइम कंप्लीट यूनिट का नाम नहीं लिखूंगा. सो क्या कन्वीनियंट रहेगा मेरे लिए? सो अगर मैं सिंबल यूज कर रहा हूँ तो वो मेरे लिए कन्वीनियंट रहेगा. सो फिजिकल क्वांटिटीज के जो यूनिट होते हैं वो सिंबल से रिप्रेजेंट किए जाते हैं. जैसे कि किलोग्राम जो यूनिट है उसके लिए सिंबल हम क्या यूज करते हैं, केजी. केजी इज द सिंबल फॉर द kilogram. Then m, small m is the symbol for the meter. Meter is the SI unit of the length. Okay, so unit of every physical quantity should be represented by its symbol. Now, second convention, full name of unit always starts with the smaller letter even if name is after the person. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ, जब हम किसी यूनिट का पूरा नाम लिख रहे, जैसे कि किलोग्राम का हम किलोग्राम कंप्लीट नाम लिख रहे, KILOGRAM, जब हम ये लिख रहे कंप्लीट नाम लिख रहे, तब ये पूरा नाम हमको क्या करना है, स्मॉलर लेटर्स में लिखना है. मतलब जो इनिशियल जो वर्ड होता है, लेटर होता है, इनिशियल जो लेटर है वो हम कैपिटल में लिखते हैं, बट जब हम किसी भी यूनिट का कंप्लीट नाम लिखेंगे तब हमको वहां पे कैपिटल लेटर यूज नहीं करना है. सो पूरा नाम लिखते टाइम हमको सारे लेटर जो है वो स्मॉल यूज करने हैं. All the letters which are going to be used while writing the full name of unit should be in the small. Okay, should be small. और अभी एक केस, अगर वो यूनिट किसी साइंटिस्ट के नाम पर लिखा होगा, जैसे कि फ्रीक्वेंसी का यूनिट जो है वो क्या है, हर्ट्ज. सो हर्ट्ज जो है वो क्या है, फ्रीक्वेंसी का यूनिट है. सो जो फ्रीक्वेंसी का यूनिट है वो साइंटिस्ट के नाम पे रखा गया है. करेक्ट. सो जब हम ये कंप्लीट नाम लिखेंगे तो HERTZ, जब हम ये कंप्लीट नाम लिखेंगे तभी भी हमको कंप्लीट नाम है वो स्मॉलर लेटर में ही लिखना है, भले ही वो यूनिट का नाम है वो साइंटिस्ट के नाम पे दिया गया हो. So full name of unit always starts with the smaller letter even if the name is after a person. Okay, so न्यूटन जो है वो यूनिट क्या किसका है, फोर्स का. न्यूटन जो है वो साइंटिस्ट का नाम है, बट जब कंप्लीट नाम लिख रहे हैं तब हमको न्यूटन है वो कैपिटल नहीं लिखना है. so सारे लेटर जो है हमको स्मॉल में लिखने हैं. ओके, नाउ अभी ये बात हुई यूनिट के कंप्लीट नाम की. जब हम उसका सिंबल यूज करेंगे तब क्या करना है. सो डेफिनेटली जब हम किसी भी यूनिट का सिंबल लिखेंगे तब हमको वो स्मॉलर से ही स्टार्ट करना है. ओके, सो सारे यूनिट का जो सिंबल लिखेंगे स्मॉलर से ही लिखना है, बट अगर वो यूनिट किसी साइंटिस्ट के या फिर किसी पर्सन के नाम से है तो हमको इनिशियल लेटर है वो कैपिटल लिखना है. जैसे कि न्यूटन का जब हम कंप्लीट नाम लिख रहे थे तब हमने न्यूटन कंप्लीट लिखा स्मॉलर लेटर में, जैसे कि NEWTON पूरा हमने स्मॉलर में लिखा. बट जबकि ये यूनिट जो है वो एक साइंटिस्ट के नाम पे है तो उसका जो सिंबल जब हम लिखेंगे तो इनिशियल लेटर शुड बी इन कैपिटल. सो यहाँ पे हम सिंबल लिखते टाइम एन जो है वो कैपिटल लिखेंगे. अभी जूल, जूल जो है वो किसका यूनिट है, तो एनर्जी का यूनिट है. ओके, सो यहाँ पे भी हमको जब कंप्लीट नाम लिख रहे हैं तब हम स्मॉलर में ही लिखेंगे, बट जब सिंबल लिखेंगे तब हम कैपिटल में लिखेंगे. करेक्ट. अभी मुझे आप एक बात बताओ, किलोग्राम का जो सिंबल है वो हम कैसे लिखेंगे, कमेंट बॉक्स में बताओ. अभी उसमें हम स्मॉलर लेटर यूज करेंगे या फिर कैपिटल लेटर यूज करेंगे, इनिशियल लेटर. ओके, सो यहाँ पे किलोग्राम का जब हम यूनिट लिखेंगे उसका जब कंप्लीट नाम लिखेंगे तब हम सारे लेटर जो है वो स्मॉल में लिखेंगे, और जब हम उसका सिंबल लिखेंगे उस टाइम पे भी उसके सारे लेटर जो है वो स्मॉल में लिखेंगे. क्यों, क्योंकि ये जो यूनिट है वो किसी साइंटिस्ट के नाम पे नहीं है. ओके, सो बेसिक रूल क्या है, जब हम किसी भी यूनिट का कंप्लीट नाम लिख रहे हैं तो सारे लेटर जो है हमको स्मॉल में लिखने हैं. जब हम यूनिट का सिंबल लिख रहे हैं तब हमको सारे लेटर जो स्मॉल में लिखने हैं. जब वो किसी साइंटिस्ट के नाम पर नहीं होगा तब, अगर वो किसी साइंटिस्ट के नाम पर होगा यूनिट तब हमको इनिशियल लेटर है वो कैपिटल लिखना है. ओके, क्लियर. नाउ मूव टू next convention. So symbols for the units do not take plural form. Means what? 40 किलोग्राम. So 40 किलोग्राम, ये जो उसमें क्या यूनिट क्या है, किलोग्राम है. एक यूनिट क्वांटिटी के लिए हम 1 किलोग्राम लिखेंगे. अभी 40 किलोग्राम है तो हम कैसे लिखेंगे? सिंपली 40 केजी लिखेंगे. उसको हम केजीज नहीं लिख सकते क्योंकि वो प्लूरल फॉर्म में नहीं लिख सकते. कितना भी हो अमाउंट, कितना भी हो मैग्नीट्यूड, कितना भी हो क्वांटिटी का. जैसे कि अगर आप लेंथ की बात करें तो आपके पास 40 मीटर है तो आप उसको 40 मीटर्स नहीं लिखेंगे, मीटर लिखेंगे. 40 मीटर, 40 किलोग्राम ऐसे. सो प्लूरल फॉर्म में हम सिंबल्स का, यूनिट का सिंबल जो प्लूरल फॉर्म में नहीं लिखते. नाउ नेक्स्ट, सिंबल्स ऑफ यूनिट्स डू नॉट कंटेन एनी फुल स्टॉप्स. मींस सिंबल के बाद हम कोई भी फुल स्टॉप या फिर कॉमा हम नहीं लिख सकते. ओके अगर किसी आपको न्यूमेरिकल में, आपने कभी कभी देखा होगा एग्जाम में, आपको जब न्यूमेरिकल पूछे जाते हैं तो आपको फुल स्टॉप या फिर कॉमा दिखता है. बट वो जो फुल स्टॉप और कॉमा होता है वो किसके लिए होता है? फॉर द पंक्चुएशन ऑफ योर स्टेटमेंट. मीन्स आपका जो न्यूमेरिकल होगा उसके जो भी स्टेटमेंट दिए है उसके लिए वो यूज किया है. यूनिट के बाद कोई भी हम डॉट या कॉमा नहीं लिखते. ओके सो it should not contain full stop or comma. Now next, units of physical quantities in numerator and denominator should be written as 1:. Means the SI unit of acceleration is meter by square second. Okay, it is unit of acceleration. So उसको हम कैसे लिख सकते हैं? रेशो के फॉर्म में. सो यहाँ पे आपको दिख रहा होगा जो व्हाइट कलर में मैंने दिखाया है वो करेक्ट लिखने का फॉर्म है. सारे एग्जांपल्स में व्हाइट जो है वो क्या है? करेक्ट फॉर्म है, ऐसे हम लिख सकते हैं. और रेड में मैंने क्या दिखाया है? सो जिससे जैसे हम नहीं लिख सकते वो मैंने रेड से है वो वहां पे हाईलाइट किया है. सो रेड कलर वाले में जैसे लिखा है वैसे हम नहीं लिख सकते. क्यों? क्योंकि यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं मीटर बाय सेकेंड इससे लिखा है. सो उसको हम कैसे रीड करेंगे? सो यहाँ पे मीटर बाय सेकेंड जब हम लिखेंगे तब आपको आपका जो सेकंड है वो क्या हो जाएगा? वहां पे पढ़ने में मिस्टेक हो सकता है. जो नीचे वाला जो सेकंड है वो, सो हम उसको वैसे नहीं लिख सकते. सो हम उसको कैसे लिखेंगे? सो मीटर बाय स्क्वायर सेकंड लिखेंगे. नाउ नेक्स्ट, यूज ऑफ कॉम्बिनेशंस ऑफ यूनिट्स एंड सिंबल्स फॉर यूनिट्स is avoided when physical quantity is expressed by combination of two. Okay, so use of combination of units and symbols for units is avoided when physical quantities is expressed by the combination of two. So यहाँ पे हम जब किसी भी क्वांटिटी का जब हम यूनिट लिख रहे हैं, अब एग्जांपल ले लो जूल बाय केजी इनटू केल्विन का. ओके सो इसमें क्या है? ये जब हमने जे डिवाइडेड बाय केजी के लिखा है सो ये करेक्ट वे है लिखने का. बट हम जूल डिवाइडेड बाय के जैसे यहाँ पे हमें देख रहे हैं न्यूमरेटर में जो जूल लिखा है वो कंप्लीट लिखा है. तो दिस इज नॉट करेक्ट वे ऑफ राइटिंग. ओके सो नाउ नेक्स्ट, space or hyphen must be introduced while indicating multiplication of two units. जब हम किसी टू यूनिट्स का मल्टीप्लिकेशन या फिर डिवीजन की बात कर रहे हैं तब हम उसको हम कैसे लिख सकते हैं? जैसे कि यहाँ पे आप वेलोसिटी का यूनिट देख सकते हैं मीटर बाय सेकेंड है, तो उसको हम मीटर इंटू सेकेंड रेज टू -1 वैसे हम लिख सकते हैं. बट वहां पे हमको मीटर और सेकेंड रेज बाय -1 के बीच में हमको स्पेस इंट्रोड्यूस करना पड़ेगा या फिर हाइफन है वो इंट्रोड्यूस करना पड़ेगा. क्यों? अगर हमने ऐसे नहीं की तो हम कैसे रीड कर सकते हैं? यहाँ पे जो रेड में मैंने दिखाया देखो, सो ms रेज टू -1, तो उसको हम क्या रीड कर सकता हूँ मैं? मुझसे मिस्टेक हो सकता है रीड करने में. सो उसको हम मिली सेकेंड भी कंसिडर कर सकते हैं. बाय मिस्टेक में उसको मिली सेकेंड रीड कर सकता हूँ. सो ये मिस्टेक ना हो इसके लिए हमको वहां पे मीटर और सेकेंड इनवर्स के बीच में स्पेस इंट्रोड्यूस करना है या फिर हाइफन इंट्रोड्यूस करना है. एंड नाउ लास्ट कन्वेंशन, a prefix symbol is used before the symbol of the unit. Prefixes are used to convert the basic units into larger or smaller units. जैसे कि हम देख सकते हैं 10⁻³ मीन्स क्या, किलो। तो ये आप टेबल देख लो, इस टेबल का आप स्क्रीनशॉट निकाल सकते हो, स्क्रीनशॉट निकाल के रख लो, इट विल बी हेल्पफुल फॉर यू। तो जब कोई भी क्वांटिटी है वो हमने 10⁻² के फॉर्म में लिखी है, तो हम 10⁻² के जो वहां पे जो है उसके लिए हम कोई भी प्रीफिक्स यूज कर सकते हैं। जैसे कि एग्जांपल ले लो 2 × 10⁻³ बाइट, ओके, ये आपका वैल्यू है। तो 10⁻³ को मैं के लिख सकता हूँ, मतलब किलो। सो मैं डायरेक्टली वहां पे लिख सकता हूँ किलो बाइट, ओके। सो मेरा अगर वैल्यू है 2 × 10⁻³ बाइट, तो उसको हम सिंपली लिख सकते हैं 2 किलो बाइट। सो वहां पे हम प्रीफिक्स यूज कर सकते हैं मल्टीप्लायर के लिए या फिर फ्रैक्शन के लिए। अगर स्मॉलर वैल्यूज है तो वहां पे फ्रैक्शन के लिए हम यूज कर सकते हैं। सो ये जो टेबल है वो आप स्क्रीनशॉट निकाल के रख लो, इट विल हेल्प यू। सो सी हियर 10⁻³ के लिए हम किलोग्राम किलो लिख सकते हैं। सो 10⁻³ ग्राम वी कैन राइट 1 किलोग्राम। 10⁻³ सेकेंड वी कैन राइट 1 मिलीसेकेंड। 10⁻⁻6 second can be written as 1 microsecond. 10⁻⁹ second can be written as 1 nanosecond. Okay, so ये टेबल में सारे वैल्यूज दिए हैं। मल्टीप्लायर में या फिर फ्रैक्शन में क्या रहेगा, तब आपको कौन सा प्रीफिक्स यूज करना है। अभी यूज ऑफ डबल प्रीफिक्सेस इज अवॉइडेड व्हेन सिंगल प्रीफिक्स इज अवेलेबल। जैसे कि 10⁻⁻6 सेकेंड है, ओके, सो उसको हम 1 माइक्रोसेकेंड लिख सकते हैं। बट 10⁻⁻6 को हम कैसे लिख सकते हैं, 10⁻³ × 10⁻³ ऐसे भी लिख सकते हैं। तो कोई बंदा मिस्टेक कर सकता है कि 1 मिली सेकेंड ऐसे लिख सकता है। सो जबकि सिंगल प्रीफिक्स अवेलेबल है तो हम डबल प्रीफिक्स यूज नहीं करेंगे। ओके, सो सिंपली वी विल यूज 1 माइक्रोसेकेंड। सिमिलरली 10⁻⁹ सेकेंड वी कैन राइट 1 नैनोसेकेंड। 10⁻³ 10⁻�6 के फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट करके हम 1 मिली माइक्रोसेकेंड नहीं लिखेंगे, करेक्ट। सो use of double prefixes is avoided when single prefix is available. I hope everyone has understood now. If you are having any doubt, just ask me in the comment section. Okay, so till now we have completed with the introduction of system of units, then types of units, then we have also seen the convention for use of SI units. Okay, so here we will pause our lecture and we will continue it in next session. Okay, so till then, take care, stay home, stay safe, and keep learning.